Well, man of steel, what the mate? I posted saying Jake Paul will beat Mike Tyson, and it happened. Are we proud of it? No. Did we want to see it happen? No. What we saw on Friday night was a frail 58-year-old legend get carried by a YouTuber for 8 rounds. It was a joke. The whole thing was a circus act. It's nothing more than a massive marketing ploy. Jake Paul, fair play to you, mate. You have everyone talking about you. Whether it's they like you or they hate you, they're all watching. I can't believe so many people bought into this hype that Mike Tyson can still fight as a granddad. It was dangerous. The fact that the Texas State Commission let this even happen as a professional fight is appalling. It's embarrassing. It was only a year ago, there was a 58-year-old that made his professional boxing debut in Texas and got knocked out in the first round by a kid who was 0 wins and 6 losses. These fights shouldn't be happening. Exhibition, sure. At least then everyone knows what they're in for. But the fact there were millions of people betting, people putting real money down, all of you were fooled.
It's been a long fight.
I saw straight past the whole entire circus. You can see a young, fit guy who's clearly gonna be coasting his way to a victory. Yes, he was a YouTuber, but guess what? The guy's been boxing for over 5 years and he can handle himself. Will he ever be a boxing great? No. English title level? No, he couldn't. He's not that good. But the guy is a marketing genius. So when I post saying he's a marketing genius and look at his first 12 fights compared to most other professional boxers, you will see that the guy has done very well in cherry picking his opposition as he's progressed, whilst making a load of money. What's the difference between him and other pro boxers that are cherry picking their opposition as they learn the game? Tank Davis, Floyd Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez. You look at their records, and for their first 12 fights, they are also cherry picking their opposition as they learn. There's not really a difference between what they did early in their career and what Jake is doing, except from Jake is making money by selling everyone a dream of him fighting. People want to watch him get knocked out. I can't see the Jake Paul circus lasting forever. It's going to get to some point where he has to test himself, and obviously he tested himself against Tommy Fury and lost. But, you know, fair play to the guy. He's made a load of money and he didn't take any liberties on Mike. That was a really important thing. So let's talk about the fight for a minute. So first round, Mike comes out. You see he's fast with the feet. Everyone gets all excited. That was the best 20 seconds of Mike Tyson in the whole fight. He looked a bit dangerous. He looked like he was closing the gap. And then you saw after, he struggled taking those punches. In his defense, he took some big shots very well, better than most 58-year-old men. But yeah, he got outboxed, couldn't land a glove on Jake. Jake just absolutely played with him. And as soon as it was all over, you had everyone that bought into this farce, people that were thinking this was a legitimate fight, commenting, oh, it's scripted, it's fake, he's a fraud, oh, this was always gonna happen. Yes, it was always gonna happen. Of course it was. You've got a 27-year-old fighting a 58-year-old. It's the biggest age gap in professional boxing history. If you genuinely fought by watching 15-second highlight reels of Mike Tyson hitting the pads, if you genuinely thought that he was gonna be able to beat a young, fit, active guy that isn't that good at boxing, you're wrong. So I'm gonna go through some comments here from my posts over the last week since predicting Jake Paul was gonna beat Mike Tyson. So Man of Steel with 2 X's. Don't forget Mike had an exhibition with Roy Jones about 3 years ago and was hurting Roy, who is a real one. When Mike started training this fight, he was already ripped and ready. The longer he trains, the better Mike gets. Jake really won't be a problem for Mike. Age isn't a factor. I'm 1 year younger than Mike. It means nothing if you're healthy. I really like your enthusiasm and your positivity, but come on, mate. He had an exhibition with a veteran, Roy Jones Jr. He didn't fight an active young fighter. When you say age isn't a factor, Mike literally looked like he had to get helped off the stool because his knees were caving in. He was out of breath walking. He's an old man. Yes, he managed to train for the fight, but age is a factor. The longer he trains, the better Mike gets. Have you forgotten that the last 30 years, he has been doing a load of nose beers, smoking weed every day, licking toads, eating shrooms, doing all that stuff? Do you really think he's going to be able to reverse decades of abusing his body in one training camp? No. And we saw that on Friday night. What are you playing at, mate? Delete your comment. People out here giving me shit. I've had the majority of people go against me. There was a poll I put out saying who's going to win. 90% of the people pressed Mike Tyson. 90% of these people were played and really fought, maybe with their heart more than their brain. Look, I love Mike Tyson. He's one of my favorite fighters of all time. But this fight never should have happened, and he was never going to win. Right, next up. Tej Shiva Singh, unfollowed. Cheers, mate. Arif Dara, you're wrong, mate. A YouTuber can't knock Tyson out. Tyson is not Anderson Silva or Nate Diaz. Tyson's still got power and the technique. When it's not rigged, Tyson will win. It was not rigged. You are just deluded, mate. Because guess what? Mike Tyson's 58 years old. Am I just gonna have to keep saying this all video? The fight wasn't rigged. You saw an old man cashing in on a paycheck. He made, what, $30 million to go out there and fight for 16 minutes? At Joel228. I'm calling BS on you assumption. Was it though? Was it bullshit? Joel again. Come on, Joel. Tyson will dominate this child. Jake should just give up in the first round. Well, when you come back to reality, Joel, when you stop smoking that chronic, it'll be good to talk to you maybe one day when you're sober. Sidafeed 1. Mike Tyson's muscle memory will beat Jake Paul. If only it was that easy, right? Oh, mate, he's got the muscle memory. He's gonna beat Jake Paul. He's got the muscle memory. His muscle memory might be telling him, his brain, may I add, sorry, might be telling him, you know, slip, sit, roll, uppercut, hook, overhand. But his body is telling him, oh mate, I need to sit down and have a cup of tea because I am battered. Watch Jake and Mike on the heavy bag. There is only one who's moving it, and it ain't Jake. Hardliner. The heavy bag don't punch back, buddy. Here we go. Walal Rika, baby. I said that wrong. Bloody hell. Walal Rikabi? Bloody hell. There's gonna be some bloopers, isn't there? Jake's only real boxing fight was against Tommy, who is a real boxer. The fuck are you on about? Skull face emoji. What am I on about? We just witnessed a complete circus act of a main event after a great card of boxing, may I add, where you saw a 31-year age gap and you saw two men cashing out. You've bought into the hype. You clearly believe that just because Mike is a former heavyweight world champion, that he still has it in it. I'm sorry to say it. This was never a competitive fight. This was a circus act. This was nothing but a facade. Jake even said he carried him to the last round. It wasn't competitive. It was never gonna be competitive. The fact that you're trying to relate Jake Paul's loss to a real boxer who is the same age, who is in his 20s, compared to him fighting an old man, granted of his stature and history, you're so wrong. And 35 people liking your comment, you're all wrong. I've had thousands of people get emotionally attached to this fight and lose their cool with me in my posts just because they can't admit the fact that a YouTuber who's been boxing for over 5 years can beat an old man, regardless of his name and stature. Take your emotions out of it, realize that you are just buying into this hype, this circus act, where you've got a con artist in Jake Paul. Johnny Rashman said it very well. He calls him a con artist, and he's right. You've got this guy that is a marketing genius that is conning you into wanting to watch him fight. And you are so emotionally invested. And it's the wrong way to be. If you're gonna be like that in life, you're gonna get nowhere. Take your emotions out of it, look at the facts. The fight never should have happened. Thank God Mike saw the final bell and still has all of his senses intact. It wasn't competitive. It was never going to be competitive, and we don't want to see it again. We don't even want to hear about it. After this video, I am done talking about this rubbish. You know what we've got coming up? You've got Sonny Edwards taking on Galal Yafai next weekend. It's it's gonna be a great fight. You've got a stacked undercard, you've got loads of title fights, and do you know what's crazy? They're not gonna get the views and coverage as this. Yet, are they better boxers? Yes, they're way better. Do they deserve the spotlight over these people? Yes, they do. But you all need to realize the boxing that's happening at the moment compared to this circus act, this was marketed so well. It had casuals involved. I had so many people ask me, what shall I bet on? What shall I do? Don't bet. It's not a real fight. It's sanctioned as a professional fight, but 14-ounce gloves, 8 2-minute rounds, there can easily be contracts involved where Jake Paul can't knock out Mike Tyson. He could have very easily have written and drafted and signed a contract saying he cannot knock out Mike. So when you think about all the betting odds and all this other stuff, they have got your money and they're laughing their way to the bank. Stop getting angry on my posts. Have a little step back, have a think, wait, am I being played here? Yeah, I am. And don't bother with it. I can't see this circus lasting for years because at some point he's gonna get unstuck and he's gonna run out of old men to beat up. But that's for another day. Anyway, next weekend, live on DAZN, Edwards Yafai. That is gonna be a great fight. Next Saturday, live on DAZN.